Hello everyone, my name is Aldana. Thank you for visiting my channel. I've been wanting to do this video for quite some time now. I have developed a deep love and appreciation for vintage decks, and I've acquired several that by different means that are quite rare and out of print. And I just wanted to share some of them with you because they bring me joy every day. I would consider myself sort of a collector. However, I do use every deck that I purchase. I can't help myself. They're just too great. So today we're going to be going through 5 different decks. And I think I'm going to go through them in the order that I received them or that I purchased them. So the first deck I'm going to start with, which is the one that started it all for me, is the Blushing Fool. This is the 1972 version. These are great little boxes, by the way. I got it on Amazon. I like that it gives a little more structure other than like a zipper case, and it's also lined in this velvet or felt, so it protects the cards. Because the original box that these came in is just trashed. I have it saved to prove that it's, the right edition and everything, but it's unusable. So anyway, so this is what all the hoopla is about. Let's see if it will focus. So, oh, come on now. There we go. So you can see that there are these red striations on his hands and face, which make it appear as if he is blushing. So what's also nice about this deck is that there's no copyright. There's no US Games copyright. And it's also in Pixies font. It has the original blue plaid backs. And I'll just go quickly through these because everybody knows the Rider-Waite deck. It was just the initial card that I wanted to pay special mind to. The line work on this edition is beautiful. It's very clean. The colors aren't garish like they are in some of the more modern versions. Especially like the yellows and the skin tones, they seem to be more natural. I love this blue. It's like a robin's egg blue. It's so pretty. So they are still gettable. This one I purchased on eBay a couple of years ago now. I've had it for a couple of years. It's on, I should say this was published by A.G. Mueller. So the cardstock is thin, but it has a core, so it's quite durable. It's fabulous, actually. It's the best kind. It riffles nicely. Yes, I actually do riffle this deck. I know some people are probably cringing, but I can't not use my decks. What's the point? Nobody in my family really appreciates the value of these cards. So when I'm gone, I will obviously leave instructions of what's valuable and blah, 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 but nobody's going to love these cards like I do. So I'm using them. Let's move this along because I have more interesting things to show you. Oops. All right, you guys get the idea. Just a couple of the pentacles. This deck came to me in very good shape, by the way. What I recommend you do, because they do still pop up now and then on eBay, you can save a search. Just type in Blushing Fool, RWS, and you'll get notified when somebody posts one. Okay, so the second rare deck that I'd like to show you is a first edition of the J.K. Waite Tarot. So this was published by Tairiku Shobu in Tokyo. This first edition was printed in 1975. He reissued it again in 1989, which has a different back. And then more recently, Tarot Collectibles got permission to do a limited print run of the deck. So I don't remember exactly the number that they printed, but it was a Kickstarter campaign. They reprinted this deck exactly, and then they did a slightly different version with a little bit more diversity. They changed a couple of colors, nothing too drastic, but they kind of did their own version. Tarot Collectibles did. But I was lucky enough to find this. I was told to look on Amazon Japan, which was very trippy because I didn't really understand much of what was going on. But I found this for a reasonable price. It was still sealed. I couldn't even believe it. So I was crossing my fingers the entire time it was traveling to me. And it was the correct date. So these are the original backs. James's reprint also has this brown back, I believe. Oh, I have to go back and look now. I can't remember. But as you can see, the downfall of this cardstock is that it chips so easily. You can see in the corners. So normally what I would do, and it also came this way, but you know, for a deck that was published in 72, it was just sitting in somebody's living room or whatever, bookcase. Anyway, let me stop talking and show you the cards. So this is basically a redrawing of the Rider-Waite-Smith, but in very beautiful colors. So it's like, again, a little different, but yet you definitely recognize the images. I love this strength card. I love it. In Pixie's version, it's hard to see that the garland goes around both of them. So Hermit, Wheel of Fortune. Interestingly, too, I think I did a walkthrough of this. You can see that a lot of the major arcana figures are facing in a different direction than they do for Pixie's deck, which is interesting. But I think the use of color for sure was the appeal for this deck. That's interesting too. Usually it's either one little boy or two brothers, but now they have a male and a female. Judgment World. yeah, I'm not sure what else to say. They're beautiful. They're really fun to use. I do, because the cardstock does chip so easily, I have been using the modern version, the reprinted ones from Tarot Collectibles. But every once in a while I'll pull this one out. There's nothing like the energy of a vintage deck. There's just not. I love them. I have others as well, but they're a little more common than the ones I'm showing today. Like I have an Aquarian tarot, which I love, definitely vintage. I have a Hoi Polloi vintage. I always wonder, like, okay, who had these before me, and what kind of readings did they give for this other person or people? I love that history element to it. It adds something special. Beautiful. At his face. Yeah. All right, so that is the J.K. Waite Tarot. Okay, the next one I'm going to share with you was also an eBay purchase. This one actually came from somebody you guys might know. Honey Lou Wilson was selling this and I think another deck. Oh, I wish I could remember what it was. It was one, and I lost the bid. I lost the auction. But I went to her page and I saw that she was also selling this, and I won. But it was really funny because the pictures that she posted, she used the same spread cloth as she does in her videos. So I'm like, I bet that's Honey Lou. And it was. And so we kind of started up this little friendship, and I sent her a couple of decks and she sent me a couple of decks, and we traded some decks. In fact, this one and one more I'm going to show you today came from Honey Lou. So this is the Thoth Box B. It is the first US printing, and it was printed in 1969. So it comes in this two-piece box, gold box. It's hard. And I'm very lucky in that Honey Lou takes really good care of her decks. Excuse me, let me drink some water. They're in really great condition, very clean, and no stains or anything. Sorry, what's going on here? Hello. Why is it being all wonky now? Come on. We were doing so well. All right, well, maybe it just, oh, there we go. So this is the card that came with it. These are the backs. So this, unlike the greenies, which were published after this deck, it's a very papery feel. There's almost like no lamination on it. It's extremely matte. And the colors in this version are, I don't want to say muddy because that's like a negative connotation, but they are darker. They're more brown. Yeah, I guess muddy, but in a good way. I actually really enjoy this version of the deck because it's so rare and everything. I do keep this one on my altar and I pull from it daily. But I tend to use the greenies for readings for myself and others because The cardstock on those is from A.J. Mueller, and again, they have that great core, and they riffle, and they're great. They're a lot more sturdy. But this one's a little more precious. So let's go through them. I mean, you guys, again, will recognize the images, but I want to show you the coloration of them. And one day I'm going to do a kind of a comparison video of all my Thoth decks, of which I have quite a few now. I was so afraid to start using the Thoth deck because I guess I still am Rider-Waite through and through. But sometimes it's nice to have a different perspective on things and to go a little bit deeper. It's always exciting to learn a new system and keep your brain firing. And what I love is that things I've learned by studying the Thoth, and again, I'm just starting, but there are elements that I'm now using in conjunction with my Rider-Waite Smith cards. So it's nice. You get different perspectives on the different cards. Love this art, or, like temperance. It's beautiful. The devil, tower, star. So you can see there's definitely a brownish tint to a lot of the cards. The oranges are vibrant, as you can see here. The whole wand suit is just beautiful. Speaking of, I actually took another tip from Honey Lou, and I soaped this deck. It's a way to kind of put a little less friction between the cards and to protect the artwork and the paper. You take a bar of soap and you rub it on both sides, front and back, and then you take another cloth and you kind of like rub it in to get the excess off, and it just leaves this very, very slight and subtle kind of waxy feel. I think they used to do that with the older Marseille decks, anything papery, to protect them and to make them easier to handle. So again, this is another one that you can set an alert for on eBay. I've also seen them on Etsy, which is interesting. If you're having no luck on eBay, try Etsy. Sometimes people sell their individual decks on there as well. The these quartz are my favorite in the entire deck. Okay, so that is the Box B cloth deck. Thank you, Honey Lou. All right, 2 left. So, okay, since I said I'm gonna do them in the order I received them, next I'm going to show you guys the Le Grand Tarot Baleen. First of all, isn't this beautiful? It's a special bag that I got from Baba Studios, and it was just sitting in a box. I didn't feel like any of my decks were special enough for it until this one. But it's beautiful. It's like lined in velvet. You can see. Oh no, that's silk. That's silk, and then they're velvet. This is all velvet. Anyway, it like fits the bag perfectly, so that's its new home. The deck itself actually came in a beautiful, fancy black lacquered cardboard box with like a red velvet interior. Very fancy for this fancy deck. So this was printed in 1966. It is a, okay, I took little notes on this because, all right, it says it was drawn by Magus Edward Billaudot, who used to unveil the mysteries of the future to Napoleon III. It resembles the Marseille Tarot, but incorporates Kabbalistic, astrological, and Egyptian influences. And the deck is entirely in French. So what's cool about this deck, so you could see it's gilded, it's oversized, it's much longer than a standard tarot deck. About the same width, maybe a little wider. A little wider than the rider. See? But it has all of these handwritten notations on all of the cards. So I'm a librarian. I don't know if you guys know this, but I did a little bit of digging because to sit and go through each card with Google Translate just seemed crazy to me. So fortunately, I was lucky enough to find somebody took the time to go through and translate all of the different, so we'll go through one card together. So here's the Fool. So it says the Le Crocodile, right? You could see down here. And it means atonement. And then here it says Vie Material La Chair. I don't know. I don't speak French. I'm sorry. But that represents material life and the flesh. Then, where did he write? Folie. Folie is down here, upside down. And it says insanity, madness, silliness. So then there's this little inscription, which is also a little hard to read because it's like in kind of script. It says, all sorts of misfortunes threaten you. There is nothing that you should fear, and your salvation can only come from the mercy of heaven. So this translation adds a whole bunch of, the meaning and the keywords. And I wish it had gone into a little bit more like what some of these symbols mean up top. But I'm still very happy with it. And it goes on. I have double-sided here about 6 pages, and it goes through all of them, the majors and the minors. What I'm going to try to do is write down exactly where I got it from online. So if any of you guys own this deck, I think you'll find this will be an extremely valuable resource, unless you speak French, of course. All right, so let's go through these beauties. They also pair really well with a lot of other decks. And I love that they're in the Marseille style. You'll see they're not exactly, especially with the minors, they're the way like the discs and the wands and the swords are laid out is different than a traditional Marseille, but it's in the style of, so you'll see. But I just love their like quirky little faces. I love the color. I love that they're kind of oversized figures. It's just a joy to work with. Look at their eyes, it's so funny. I love it. It's so beautiful and interesting and quirky. I'm so thankful to have this deck. So this deck came to me from Honey Lou. It was a total surprise. We had spoken about exchanging some decks, and I threw in a couple of extras, and she threw in this one, and I was completely shocked and stunned that she would be so generous, because this, of all the ones I've shown you now, is some of them are going for like $1,000 on eBay right now. And again, I would never sell this, but her generosity just blew me away. And again, they're in perfect condition, but it's quickly become a favorite of mine. It's just precious to me. So I'm very thankful to have it. It's the devil, obviously. I've also studied Marseille a bit. So even without the translation that I found, I'm able to know which cards are which, thankfully. So I can use it. It's not like I'm reliant so much on the translated words, but it does help a lot, and I plan to do a deep dive at some point with this deck and just kind of make notes and stuff. So you can see, like, this is the 6. It's not in the normal configuration of a 6 of wands in the Marseille deck, or is this? So pretty. And again, the colors are simple. They're basically, you know, primary colors: red, yellow, green, and blue. I'm so happy that I'm finally doing this. Come back. Because just for historic value. Like, I've had my Blushing Fool for a few years, but then I figured, oh, who's going to want to see that? You know, because they are out there and people know what the Rider-Waite-Smith looks like. But just for posterity's sake, these are historic decks. They're over 50 years old, some of them. And I just wanted to have, you know, a clear record of them with modern day technology, cameras and whatnot. It's pretty. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I just looked at the timestamp. We're at half an hour already. But that's okay. I think you'll like to see the last deck that I saved for you today. Okay, so that is the Grand Royal Baleen. Okay. So the last deck, let me put this back. The last deck I'm going to show you today is a deck that literally showed up yesterday. And fun, this bag I got from Janaki at Catamancy Tarot. I'd bet you didn't realize that she made bags. And this is made from silk. It's beautiful. So this deck, drum roll please, is the Royal Fez Moroccan Tarot. This deck I saw on Anna's channel. She's the Astral Lady Tarot. I think she just sort of mentioned it, but I caught a glimpse of the images and I was like, oh yes, I need this. What this is this deck was printed or created or commissioned, I should say, by Roland Barrel. He is the co-founder of Mensa, and he hired an artist to basically recreate Pixie's Rider-Waite-Smith. This was printed in England in 1970 by A.G. Mueller for U.S. Games. It's very kind of a convoluted history there. Yeah, so this one is probably the rarest. I haven't seen as many versions of this deck, but in one word, to me, this deck is charming. It is absolutely charming. The little faces, the fine line work of the backgrounds, the sparing use of color. It just feels very storybook to me in a way, and I am in love with it. So here we have our Fool. There are no titles on the cards, as you can see. Look at that Magician. They do have numbers on the bottom. They're a little hard to see in real life, but again, I know this deck. I know the cards. Look at this beautiful High Priestess. I love it so much. I'm going to go a little slower with this one because it's so new to me that I'm also kind of looking at the details with you. I love her dress. Oops. The Emperor. Please forgive my nails. I'm like cringing. I'm looking at them as I'm looking at the cards on screen, and yeah, I need to do something with them. Here we have the Hierophant. The Lovers. Chariot. Strength, beautiful strength. I love the lemniscate above in the sky. Here we have the Hermit. It's very clean, like my Blushing Fool. You know, the line work is very crisp and detailed. There's the Hanged Man. And again, very simple use of primary colors: yellow, red, blue, and green. Isn't this beautiful? I feel so lucky to have it in my collection. This is one I'm definitely going to be using a lot of. It's not as sturdy as the others. It does not have a core, so I'll be a little more gentle with it, but I'm absolutely going to use it. Moon. There's the sun. Judgment. Very pleased with how the cards are showing up on camera. They're very true to life, color-wise and everything, so it's a good representation. It's the Ace of Wands, the 2. There's a fez on his head. So I think he wanted it created because apparently there was like a secret society in Morocco that he was trying to represent in these cards. I don't really see how they differ from the Rider-Waite-Smith or what makes them Moroccan or, you know, of that style. But that's the name of it. The 6, 7. Oh, he's flying forward. Love that. There's the 8, the 9, the 10. So beautiful. Oh, I also have a Golden Rider deck, which was also came to me sealed, unopened, which I opened right away, of course. I have no restraint. I can't help it. Cards are meant to be used. Oh, look at this little cat. I love it. Beautiful. And here's the king with his little salamander sitting on his throne. All right, here are the cups. Ace. That's beautiful. 2. One of my favorite cards in general. 3 of Cups. Pretty maidens. Having some fun. Here's the 4. The 5. 6. I love how he's sniffing the flower. That's adorable. I think I like this version of it better than Pixie's. Here's a 7. I love this 8 too. There's so much detail in the background. So pretty. This one made me laugh only because he looks so little compared to the table. These cups must be massive. So the perspective is a little off for me, but it's great nonetheless. Oh, here's the 10. Oddly enough, that was an alert from eBay. Wow, look at that. I love the rainbow colors. They're kind of muted a little bit. Here's the Page of Cups. The Knight. Queen. And the little king. He just has the sweetest face. Ship in the background. We have the Swords, Ace. 2. 3. 4. No window. 5. 6. 'Looks like she's holding a baby, but it's not focusing, so I can't see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that looks like a baby's head. 7. 8. 'I love this depiction as well. 9. 10. Very dramatic 10. And then we have the Page, another Fez. The Knight. The Queen. And the King. All the kings look so kind. And then we have our last suit, the coins. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an interesting depiction. 6. 7. I also like that each card has its own little mini border. It kind of frames it out so nicely. I don't mind borders. I went through a borderless phase, but with these vintage decks, I think it just works with the borders. A little falcon there. This is a 10. Page. Knight. Queen. A little bunny. And king. Look how sweet he looks again. So that is the Royal Fez Moroccan and where I'm going to leave you guys today. Thank you so much for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you are so inclined, please consider subscribing to my channel. And I hope that you enjoyed going through these elder decks with me as much as I did. I hope you have a great day.